Hare Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Ajayo Girivaradari Jayo Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Andana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Andana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Ajayo Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Jayo Kunja Vihari Jayo Kunja Vihari Jayo Kunja Vihari Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Jagannath Jai Jagannath Jai Baladeva Jai Subhadra Jai Jagannath Jai Jagannath Jai Baladeva Jai Subhadra Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu Me Jayo Radha Vallabha Radha Vallabha Sri Radhe Radha Vallabha Radha Vallabha Sri Radhe Jayo Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Sri Radhe Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Sri Radhe. Jayo Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Sri Radhe. Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Sri Radhe. Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Sri Radhe. Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Sri Radhe. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Nitai Doyal, Jaya Nimai Sundar, Jaya Sundar Nimai, Jaya Nitai Doyal. Jaya Nitai Doyal, Jaya Nimai Sundar, Jaya Sundar Nimai, Jaya Nitai Doyal. Jaya Nitai Doyal, Jaya Nimai Sundar, Jaya Sundar Nimai, Jaya Nitai Doyal. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jaya Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Srila Guru Deva. Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Srila Prabhupada. Grandhara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet Srinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtanaha Hridantasto hi abhadrani Vidunnoti suhutsatam Nastaprayeshu abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, established as an irrevocable fact. So today's verse for discussion, Canto 6, Prescribed Duties for Mankind, the Chapter 15, Saints Narada and Angira instruct King Chitraketu. Text number 16. Tasmat yuvam gramya pasor. Gramya pasor. Tasmat ivam gramya pasor. Mama mudha dhiya prabhu. Mama mudha dhiya prabhu. Ande tamasi magnasya. Ande tamasi magnasya. Jnana deepa udaryatam. Jnana deepa udaryatam. Tasmat yuvam gramya pasor. Mama mudha dhiya prabhu. Ande tamasi magnasya. Jnana deepa udaryatam. Tasmad yuvam gramya pasor. Mama mudha dhiya prabhu. Ande demadipatnyasya. Jnana deepa udiryatam. Tasmad yuvam gramya pasor. Mama mudha dhiya prabhu. Ande tamasi magnasya. Jnana deepa udiryatam. Tasmad yuvam gramya pasor. Mama mudha dhiya prabhu. Ande tamasi magnasya. Jnana deepa udiryatam. Word to word meaning by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Tasmad, therefore, yuvam, both of you, gramya pasu, of an animal like a hog, pig or dog. Mama, me, mudha who am very foolish due to having no spiritual knowledge. Prabhu, O my two lords, andhe, in blind, tamasi, darkness, magnasya, or one who is absorbed, jnana deepaha, the torchlight of knowledge, udiryatam, let it be ignited. Is translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Because you are great personalities, you can give me real knowledge. I am as foolish as a village animal like a pig or a dog because I am merged in the darkness of ignorance. Therefore, please ignite the torch of knowledge to save me. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So this is the way to receive knowledge. One must submit oneself at the lotus feet of great personalities who can actually deliver transcendental knowledge. It is therefore said, Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Jignasu Shreya Uttamam, 11.321. One who is inquisitive to understand the highest goal and benefit of life must approach a bona fide spiritual master and surrender unto him. Only one who is actually eager to receive knowledge to eradicate the darkness of ignorance is eligible to approach a guru or a spiritual master. The guru should not be approached for material benefits. One should not approach a guru just to cure some disease or receive some miraculous benefit. This is not the way to approach the guru. Tad vijnanartham. One should approach the guru to understand the transcendental science of spiritual life. Unfortunately, in this age of Kali, there are many bogus gurus who display magic to their disciples, and many foolish disciples want to see such magic for material benefits. These disciples are not interested in pursuing spiritual life to save themselves from the darkness of ignorance. It is said, Om Ajnanatimiraandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. This gives the definition of the Guru. Everyone is in the darkness of ignorance. Therefore, everyone needs to be enlightened with transcendental knowledge. One who enlightens his disciple and saves him from rotting in the darkness of ignorance in the material world is a true Guru. Om Ajnanatimiraandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has the form of Satchitananda Vigraha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him, who turns the dumb into eloquent speakers and enables the lame to cross mountains. Such is the mercy of this Supreme Lord. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarobhascha Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation. Because you are great personalities, you can give me real knowledge. I am as foolish as a village animal, like a pig or a dog. Because I am merged in the darkness of ignorance, therefore please ignite the torch of knowledge to save me. I think this is what we would have had in our consciousness yesterday when we celebrated day before yesterday, Srila Prabhupada's appearance day. It's not easy for a king like Chitraketu, who is the emperor of the whole planet, with army, treasury, everything at his disposal, to bow down before two mendicants and say that I am like a pig or a dog. How many of us have that courage to say that, standing or bowing down before our spiritual master and utter with humility and gratitude that I am a pig and I am a hog? Has anyone said that to their spiritual master? When I approached my Gurudev, I just bowed down, but I did not have any words to say that I'm a pig or I'm a hog. I only said, please accept me as as your disciple and shower your mercy. That at best those words came out of my mouth. But here Chitraketu is an emperor, and yet he is able to say that I am as foolish as a village animal, like a pig or a dog. And why is he saying that? Because I am merged in the darkness of ignorance. So we find that the success and failure in life is like darkness and illumination between a devotee and a non-devotee. What is considered as a success by a non-devotee is considered as a failure by a devotee. Just to take this in the context, an example, I'm not sure how many of you know, but recently one billionaire in India passed away at a young age of about 62 years. His name is Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. How many of you know him, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala? Yeah. He started his journey as a stockbroker 40 years back with 5,000 rupees in his pocket. And when he died, he had $5 billion in his pocket. That is, he started with $100, and in 40 years, he earned 5 billion. In Indian terms, almost 40,000 crores he has earned. So from 5,000 rupees, he has become 40,000 crores. And he has become a household name in India, that this is what is meant by success. But look at his consciousness before his death. He knew that he is going to die in the next 3 to 6 months. That's how it was predicted. So he made all the arrangements in his life in terms of distributing his wealth amongst his 3 children and his wife. He did everything possible materially. And in an interview, he said, my last wish is to Dena Lena, that I have to sell some shares and buy some shares. I have to do stockbroking. On my last day of death, this is what his consciousness was. That I want to buy some shares and I want to sell some shares. I want to do some speculation on that day and have good lunch and 2 pecks of wine, and God, you can take me. And he is considered to be a highly successful person in India. And possibly anyone who comes who is not a devotee would think that that is a success of life. But whereas here we find an emperor who had everything at his disposal, army, treasury, and wives, not 1, 2, 3, 4, innumerable number of wives. But the destiny was that he was not supposed to have a kid or a child, and that created lamentation in him. And then by the arrangement of transcendental personalities, he had a child. It appears he was not destined to have a child, but there was a drama being enacted in his life so that he is elevated in his consciousness. He is elevated from the bodily consciousness to the spiritual platform. And therefore, he was given a child, or a child was arranged in his life with a caution that the child is going to give you both happiness and lamentation or distress. And truly, because the child was born of the first queen, and then he had so many queens, that created envy, and the result was the child was poisoned and the child dies. And that's the time when, once again, Narada Muni and Angira, they appear in his life and then give him the spiritual knowledge. And when they give him spiritual knowledge, now Chitraketu is expressing his gratitude, is expressing his humility and saying that I am a foolish person like an animal merged in the darkness of ignorance. So kindly give me the spiritual knowledge. And Prabhupada in his purport said, this is the way to receive knowledge, that one should bow down before the spiritual master with humility and then pray to him that please illuminate me with the spiritual knowledge. Pull me out of this material consciousness. Therefore, one must submit oneself at the lotus feet of great personalities who can actually deliver transcendental knowledge. So one should take shelter of the lotus feet of great personalities who can give us transcendental knowledge. Having come to Krishna consciousness, we have become so fortunate, that fortune cannot be described. Although we have taken it, I think, having come to Krishna consciousness, we have taken it for granted. Sometimes the casualness appears. It's okay, I'm doing everyday chanting, I'm doing some devotional activity. But we should have that seriousness, the momentum to continue, not only that we progress, but we also take along with us others, give them that understanding, and that can happen only when we truly understand that I am not this body, that I am the spirit soul, from the depth of my heart, from the core of my heart, that this material world cannot give me happiness. Unless I come to that conclusion, and from that platform, if I can practice my devotional activity by the mercy of the spiritual master. So therefore Prabhupada is quoting the Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Jignasu Shreya Uttamam, one who is inquisitive to understand the highest goal. So the highest goal and benefit of life must approach a bona fide spiritual master and surrender onto him. So unless we understand what is the goal of life itself, how do we take shelter of a spiritual master? If I think that Rakesh is my goal, person who has, wow, he earned so much of money with so little as is in the pocket, if that's what is I fill up my consciousness, then how do I get out of the bodily platform and surrender to a personality who can give me spiritual knowledge? There must be some sukriti coming by the association or by the blessings of a devotee, or some past life where we have done some devotional activity and therefore continuing that in this life. And here in this text 11.3.21, which Prabhupada is quoting, he is talking about how to receive that knowledge by surrendering on to the bona fide spiritual master. But then, who is a bona fide guru? Because in this world, everyone claims to be a spiritual master. And especially, like in Australia, here we think of only sports as a main activity. Everyone, right from school days, children are encouraged to take to sports, and then you move on the track. And therefore, although the population is hardly 22, 23 million, but we claim many gold medals in international events. But if you go to a country like India, there it is more of on the spiritual domain. People try to function, festivals, rituals, and so on. But in that mela or confusion, it has created a confusion in the entire society. In the name of spirituality, the material things are being preached, and people are placed in further darkness. I think I must have said we have a channel called Bhakti channel in the state where I come from, Andhra Pradesh, now of course called Telangana. In the Bhakti channel, right from, it's 24 hours channel actually. So if you get up early morning, 4 o'clock, and then switch on the channel, because it's a Bhakti channel, you like to hear something about devotional activity. Almost every school of thought, they have their presentation on the channel. So we find that Sri Sampradaya, their representative, Chinnajaya Swami, comes on the channel and he speaks something about spirituality, devotional activity, which is valid and bona fide. Then ISKCON devotees, they come, they preach. Then Balaji temple, they come and they say that, look, you come to our temple by walking and then all your desires are fulfilled. So TTD advertisement. And then Hanuman Chalis, then Durga Devi, then and so on. So from morning till evening, almost every school which is available in India, they come and then they say that this is bhakti and therefore you take to bhakti. But what is that they're trying to teach is mostly on the material platform. You do this, you get this material benefit. And people think that, well, this is meant for, this is what is called devotional activity. So therefore, typically you find the coconuts being broken in the temple, especially more towards as you approach exams or in such situations. So Prabhupada is criticizing that part, that unless you have that sincere desire to get out of this material world, you should not be approaching a spiritual master. Because spiritual master is not meant for telling others, well, I have a guru, which Prabhupada says. It's not like a photo on the, in one of the photos on the wall saying that he is my guru. So, who is a bona fide guru? In that verse 11.3.21, two words are used. One is called Nishnatam, perfectly knowledgeable Brahmani of the absolute truth. So the first qualification of the person whom we can call it as a bona fide guru is that Nishnatam Brahmani, perfectly knowledgeable of the absolute truth. So the person should have the realization, the understanding of the absolute truth. What is meant by absolute truth? Unless that person has got that knowledge, that realization, one cannot call such a person as a guru or a bona fide guru. But here we have a person like Sai Baba, who is considered to be a guru, because he pulls out some magic things. He pulls out some ash from his hand and he says, well, Bhagavan Sai Baba. We find people, one day I was walking on the road in Hyderabad, people were worshipping a tree. Just a tree on the main road they were worshipping. I was wondering, why are they worshipping that tree on the main road? It has nothing, so they put some tilak, kumkum we call it as, and then arati. And people think that that is spirituality. Then Lord Ganesha, wow, this is the time we are approaching Ganesh Festival, 9 days of festival, each area competes the other. 30 feet, 40 feet Ganesh statues. Hyderabad and Mumbai, both the places are well known for this. And on the final day, they make a laddu. How big? I don't know. It's a huge laddu, and that goes for auction. You know, that auction, 35 lakhs, 40 lakhs, that $100,000, $150,000. Like temple here does the auction, Radhastami, and then other days, and we get $400,000, $500,000. But there they're talking about $100,000, $150,000 laddu. And they say that, for what purpose have you taken? This will benefit my family. This will make me flourish in my business. And then for such related activities. So therefore here Prabhupada is saying that you don't approach a guru for that. So absolute. So who is a bona fide guru? A person who has understood, who understand what is meant by absolute truth. And the second qualification is upasamashayam. Upasamashayam, fixed in detachment from material affairs. So unless someone has got these two qualities, he cannot be considered as a bona fide guru. So therefore, the qualification of the bona fide guru, that he has realized the conclusions of the scriptures by deliberation and is able to convince others of this. In that verse, Prabhupada is saying, so a bona fide spiritual master is one who is expert in all the subject matters, not by his personal imagination or speculation, but by mature understanding of the authorized Vedic literatures, which are the literary manifestation of the causeless mercy of the God. So therefore, the Bhagavad Gita says, Asraddhadhana Purusha Dharmasyasya Parantapa Aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsara vartmani. Those who are not faithful in the path of devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of foes, but return to birth and death material world. Therefore, the spiritual master must awaken the disciple to the eternal existence of devotional service. So this is the qualification of a bona fide spiritual master, that who himself has realized the absolute truth, and then he is detached from matter, and who can, what does such a bona fide spiritual master do? He awakens the sleeping soul. And Prabhupada gives the example here. The example will be given that in the early morning, a mother may enter her child's room to wake him up so that he can attend school. The child does not want to get up, but the loving mother forces him to get up and sends him off to school to be educated. Similarly, the bona fide spiritual master awakens the sleeping soul and sends him to the Gurukula or the ashram of spiritual master, where he can be trained in spiritual knowledge. So that is what the bona fide spiritual master does. He awakens the sleeping soul to the reality of life, and then trains him to take up the journey. And this is what Srila Prabhupada has done for all of us. He has established an institution, an international institution, where everyone can receive the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and take up this journey sincerely. And not only that one takes one's own journey sincerely, but also facilitates others to take this journey sincerely, and along with everyone returns back home, back to Godhead. And therefore Prabhupada in that verse or in that text, he says that Yare deke tare kaha Krishna upadesh amara agnaya guru hana tara edesh. So therefore this is what the guru says, that okay, anyone you see, you teach him. That instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Sri Krishna as they are given in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. And what is the position of a spiritual master? Prabhupada in that verse quotes, Yo Vidvan Sa Gurur Hari. Such a great soul is to be considered the external manifestation of the Lord Himself. So He is an external manifestation of the Lord, and therefore, once we come to that understanding that He is an external manifestation of the Lord, just as we surrender to the Lord, it becomes easy for us to surrender to such a spiritual master. One, he is a bona fide spiritual master, and a bona fide spiritual master is an external representative of the Lord, and therefore it's easy to surrender unto Him. And Krishna also states, as Prabhupada quotes, Acharyam mam vigna vijaniyan navam manyeta karhichit namartya buddhyasya buddhya suyeta sarva devo mayo guru. One should know the Acharya to be myself and never disrespect him in any way. One should not envy him, thinking him an ordinary man, for he is the representative of all the demigods. So therefore, an Acharya, when we given that respect and we serve, that's the verse in 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Which is that verse? We talk about taking the shelter of spiritual master. That's the verse. But important than that, not only that the verse is important, but more important than that verse in the sense that what happens when we take the shelter of such a spiritual master, serve, the next verse 4.35 talks about Yajnatva na punarmoham evam yasyasya pandava ena bhutani aseshani drikshasya atmani atomayim. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. So having received that spiritual knowledge from the spiritual master, what is the result? That we will never fall again into such illusion. And by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or other words, they are also mine. And that gives us that, yes, having received this knowledge, when we have that gratitude that Krishna has given us everything, including the spiritual master in my life. It is by His mercy that we get the spiritual master, and by the mercy of the spiritual master, we get the Lord. Which is that verse which talks about that? That by the mercy of the Krishna, that we get a spiritual master, and by the mercy of spiritual master, we get Krishna. Sorry, Prabhu? Yeah, but I was thinking of Chaitanya Charitam, that Madhya Leela, Brahmanda Brahmite Kon Bhagyavan Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. According to their karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the entire universe. Some of them are being elevated to the upper planetary systems, and some are going down into the lower planetary system. Out of many millions of wandering living entities, one who is very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. So one gets a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. And by the mercy of both Krishna and spiritual master, such a person receives the seed of the creeper of devotional service. And I can give my own journey in this aspect, how I became fortunate and have received the association of Krishna conscious devotees. So before I give my own, I conclude with my example. we continue here. Only one is actually eager to receive knowledge to eradicate the darkness of ignorance eligible to approach a guru. The guru should not be approached for material benefits. And we have, because time and again I go back to India because that's a place where we have so many gurus and there are guru clubs. Okay, you become a member of that particular guru association so that you get material benefits, business. So we find that Sai Baba grew up in India, coming from Andhra. That's where Puttaparthi Sai Baba is. You have Ratan Tata, the chairman of the Tata group of companies, as a member of that club. Then you have political leaders who are members of that club. So you know that, well, here is a business executive, here are the politicians, so they're all part of that particular association. So if I'm also joining that association, I get the material benefit. And therefore they come together. Purely material benefit. We had one well-known chief minister. He played the role of Lord Krishna and Rama for more than 25 years in cine field. So we expect such a person to be spiritual because he has recited verses from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, from Ramayana, from Mahabharata, from Bhagavad Gita in those 25 years of his film role as Krishna, Rama and such wonderful personalities. But when he became the chief minister, somebody was trying to pull his throne, he approached a guru. And for what purpose? To retain his throne. And what was advice given to him by the guru? He said, take every day a dead body from the hospital. Because he was the chief minister, he could arrange the dead body from the hospital. So his house was 30 years outside Hyderabad, outskirts. And therefore, every day, I believe, a dead body used to go from the hospital to his ashram. And then his guru, I think, has said to him, you sit on the dead body. So he sits on the dead body. And then he chants certain mantras. They say some black magic. So that the opponents are defeated and he can retain his chair. This is the reason why people have gurus. So here we find Prabhupada is the one who is actually eager to receive knowledge, to eradicate the darkness of ignorance, eligible to approach a guru or spiritual master. The guru should not be approached for material benefits. One should not approach a guru just to cure some disease or receive some miraculous benefit. But here is a powerful person who has acted in roles which are highly inspirational, and if such a person is behaving like this, then obviously an ordinary person who takes him as a role model would behave in a similar way. And this is not the way to approach the guru. One should approach the guru to understand the transcendental science of spiritual life. Unfortunately, in this age of Kali, there are many bogus gurus who display magic to their disciples, and many foolish disciples want to see such magic for material benefits. These disciples are not interested in pursuing spiritual life to save themselves from the darkness of ignorance. So people are not really interested in understanding the true spiritual life. Somehow, okay, this is also a part of our life, do some ritual activity. Having born in an environment like India, having received that basic understanding, everyone has there, that you are not the body, spirit, soul. But it is a theoretical knowledge because that's not put into practice. Then everyone knows that if he is performing is suffering, this is all because of my prarabdha karma. That is because of my whatever activity I've done in my previous life, and in this life I'm suffering. So these two things are known to even an ordinary person on the road. But in practice, they are not on that platform. But still that is considered to be a good platform to start the spiritual journey. And that's where we find Srila Prabhupada's starting the temples in India. Now it is spreading like wildfire. Temples are being opened everywhere. And today we find in ISKCON temples, on festival days and other days, you just can't get entry into the temple. I think one such example is Parthasarathi temple in Delhi. On a Janmashtami, we have received, I think yesterday's news was that about 10,000 guests, 10,000 plus guests we have received. Whereas in India, it's more than a couple of millions. So the whole queue has to be managed by the police, not by the devotees. So such is the power of preaching, and all this credit is to Srila Prabhupada, his vision, his surrender to his spiritual master. So this is how one becomes really powerful, by surrendering oneself to the spiritual master, not an anyone, but a bona fide spiritual master. And with that strength, with that understanding, comes the gratitude and the humility, and with that one can share one's knowledge with others. So therefore everyone needs to be enlightened with transcendent knowledge. One who enlightens his disciple and saves him from rotting the darkness of ignorance in this material world is a true guru. He is the true spiritual master. He is the bona fide spiritual master. And if one is sincere, one is interested, as that Madhya Leela 19.151 says, Brahmanda Brahmite kon bhagyavan jiva, Guru Krishna prasade pai bhakti lata bish. Krishna will make that arrangement. And that is my own realization, my own understanding. It's not theoretical, just theoretical from the verse, but this is what I have experienced. When I was in grade 3 or grade 4, my father performed for me the thread ceremony, Yajnopavitam was arranged, because my elder brother was getting his punal because he was getting for his marriage, so therefore they said, okay, also perform Shekhar's Yajnopavitam. I also asked, and my father said, okay, because grade 3, what understanding I had, nothing. But still, I asked, my father said, okay, you also get done. So my first guru, at that time my father said, he is our Kula Guru. Kula Guru is, he is the guru from coming in the seminal succession. That my father had his father guru, then my grandfather had his grandfather guru, and that's how the disciplic succession continued. And so he performed the puja and went away. After that, there was no connection with him, nor did I speak to him, nor have I seen him after that. So that was the first initiation into the so-called spiritual activity, because after that I received the Gayatri and I started doing my Gayatri. But then, little later, I think when I was 14 or 15 years, I don't know why I approached, but I approached a person because there was an advertisement in local newspaper saying that we'll teach you Kundalini. And therefore, I went with eagerness, said, can you please teach me Kundalini? And I still remember his words, Hare, tu to bacha hai. You are a kid. What do you understand about Kundalini? You come back to me when you are an adult. And that's how he sent me away. So why I'm giving it, how Krishna make me arrangement for me to come to Krishna consciousness. And when I was in the degree, I met, the desire was there. So therefore, when I was in my first year of degree and second year of degree, I used to hear anyone coming to Hyderabad about the spiritual topics. So in that train, I've attended Maharishi Mahesh Yogi's. That was the first time I've seen him with white beard, and then he gave a lecture. And so then I went there. He showed his ashram there, and I paid some money. They gave me some bija word. They said, this is unique to you and you should chant. I chanted for some days. Nothing happened to me. Of course, too short a period, but it was not really attractive, because he said this is something unique to your personality, something like we say in homeopathy. We have got hundreds of drugs, but based on your symptoms, I need to give you that constitutional drug, and only it works for you. So something similar to that, he said, based on your constitution. I don't know how he judged my constitution, my personality, because it's not an external personality. He has to judge my inner personality, and he gave me some bija mantra. And he said that you chant. I chanted for some time. It was not helpful to me. I left it. Then I've heard Chinmayananda of Chinmaya Mission. In those days he was alive, so I heard him. Bhagavad Gita for a couple of days. Every day he would take a verse, and then that also did not have any impact on me. Then I heard his disciple Dayananda. That also I've heard for some time, but that also was not helpful to me, in the sense that I was still like my ordinary college-going materialistic person. There was no change in my consciousness. And then in those days I went to Ramakrishna Mission also. That also was not helpful. But why I'm giving all this train is how Krishna was directing me indirectly to come to Krishna consciousness. All this was because I had the desire to do something, because I've seen my aunts, others, everyone doing everyday meditation, chanting. But I did not approach them. And it was good that I did not approach them, because they had their own guru who did not have a guru, but they received some mantra from that guru, and therefore they would chant every day. And then I was going to Shankaracharya school, because Shankar Mat was very close to our place. So there we were asked to recite Namakam, Chamakam, and all those verses we were chanting, and we felt, wow, we are learning something spiritual. Nothing, no understanding, but we were just chanting. And then at that time, fortunately, I've also heard Srila Prabhupada's lecture. I saw Srila Prabhupada in a Pandal program in Hyderabad, and I've heard for more than 1 hour his lecture, and devotees dancing. But as Chitraketu said here, that I'm like with a doggish mentality, like a hog, like an animal. Although I've heard Prabhupada, although I've seen Prabhupada, it had not penetrated at that time. So that was in 1975, 76, around that period. Nothing happened. And in 1996, before coming to Australia, because I came to Australia in 1997, so 1996, before coming to Australia, I met Sringeri chief in a temple, Srisailam. Srisailam temple is well known for Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva's temple there, it is Swayambhu, that is, the lingam has appeared naturally. It is not someone has made the temple or the deity. So therefore, I met there, and then I met Ravi Shankar, Art of Living Foundation in Bangalore. I stayed in his ashram for a month. I thought that, and to be honest, there I stayed in the ashram because I thought that will give me some material benefit. It was nothing spiritual. I thought it will give me a material benefit. Why? I was told that Art of Foundation, there are branches all over the world, and I'm coming to Australia, I should know somebody. So if I'm associated with that organization, I'll get to know people when I land up in Melbourne, and therefore I should take that. So with that consciousness, I went there. I stayed in that ashram for a month, and then followed whatever, because he is the follower of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And once again, there also I paid In 1996, I paid rupees 500. They charged me 500 rupees to give me a bija mantra. I took that mantra, I chanted for some time. It had no impact. I left that once again. And then came to Melbourne. And after coming to Melbourne, the first thing my sister did was she brought me to the temple. And since then, the journey started. The real journey of spirituality started. So I can see in my own life the twists and turns I had to go through before coming to Krishna consciousness. And I would take personally that it is the arrangement of Krishna at every stage that I was not inspired by people who were not really bona fide spiritual masters. Although I have seen Srila Prabhupada, heard him, but by that association, it matured in 1998 when first time, August 1998, date I don't remember now, but that the first time I chanted 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And since then, it's been continuing. So therefore, I feel that it is, with this, my understanding is that that verse which talks about that Brahmanda Brahmite Kon Bhagyavan Jiva, that Krishna makes the, if you have that desire, Krishna makes the arrangement, and therefore you come in contact with the bona fide spiritual master. So concluding today's discussion, that unless we have that desire, we are really interested, one should not approach a spiritual master for material benefit. And when we approach a spiritual master, he must be a bona fide spiritual master, not anyone and everyone who can misguide you, who himself is misguided, he'll misguide you. And therefore, you are losing yet one more station or one more birth in this life. Yeah, any question, any comment? Any question, any comment? Yeah. Grandhara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.